This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Rio Grande Valley Partnership, its board of directors, we want to say thank you for being with us today. Mr. Billy Canales, owner of Rio Motors Company, who's with us today. We want to say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being with us today. To also Marie Garcia with Sames Engineering, and also Gabe as well. Thank you for being with us today. He is owner of Credit Management, actually the brainchild of our commercial tour investments. Gabe, I think you're there as well. Thank you for joining us. And to our sponsors, many thanks to the EB Merit Construction, Atlas Refrigeration, Noble Texas Builders, Credit Management Concepts, and Sames Engineering, and of course, the City of Edinburg and the EDC. On behalf of all of us, we want to say thank you. And, you know, one of the reasons that we're on as well is to drive investment within our own communities. And that is one of the committees of the partnership, which is called RGV First. RGV First is a working committee of architects, construction folks, engineers, and other sectors. We encourage entities such as the City of Edinburg and its EDC to invest with local suppliers, invest with local vendors. So thank you for your leadership. And to Steve Taylor with the Guardian, thank you for helping us cover this today. So with that said, Mr. Ron Garza, City Manager with the City of Edinburg, if you could please take it from here. We certainly appreciate your leadership at the City of Edinburg, and let us know what's the latest and greatest in your communities. I know you have a fairly new team. Y'all have that attitude of no matter what it takes, let's get the job done. So please, if you can expand on that, greatly appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. We're absolutely excited to be here. You know, I can't say enough great things about the RGV partnership. So for them to be facilitating this opportunity for many communities in the Rio Grande Valley to showcase themselves, it's awesome. We appreciate it, and again, very, very excited to be here. So I'm joined by two team members here that I'm very proud to have with me, and we'll elaborate on the details of that. But we are a new team to the city, fairly new. I've been the city manager now going on not quite 9 months, but to my right here is Blanca Davila. She's our economic development director of our new department, which I'll get into that a little later. And to my left is Brian Kelsey. So he's our assistant city manager, but his specialty is economic development. So he facilitates all our city departments that deals with economic development. So we have transitioned a traditional EDC format into this new city department of economic development. We're really excited about that. And again, we'll elaborate a little bit more. So with that, let me go ahead and get started. You know, the city of Edinburg, we all know it, most likely, the ones that especially live in the valley. And I think as economic developers, we always use a term called business friendly. And it's really funny as I'm new to the community as well, but really learning how the city of Edinburg was built. We are truly being built on being business friendly. A little bit of history lesson for everybody. So Edinburg's original name was a small town named Chapin. But Mr. Chapin, which is there, got himself into a little bit of trouble. So the governing body at that point said, you know what, we should focus on business. And there was a prominent businessman named John Young, and he was born in Edinburg, Scotland. So really, just to enhance and make visible the fact that we wanted to be business friendly, they literally named the city off a prominent businessman that was born in Edinburg, Scotland. So they really wanted to tag to that. And then another interesting story. So when the Southern Pacific Railroad was being built, they debated logistically where they were going to go, and it was supposed to originally go to Laredo. So what the governing body also of the city of Edinburg did, they started naming the streets after railroad executives. So many of our famous streets that Coon, McIntyre, Lovett, Mall, things like that, they were just named after the executives of the Southern Pacific Railroad. So, and it worked. Because of that, they actually built the railway coming here. So again, from the very beginning, the roots of City of Edinburg, we're business friendly, and proud to say that we're going to continue that. So for those big businesses, I mean, we'll name Elon Musk way or whatever it takes, we will rename roads and maybe even rename the city after you. So if it's worthy of the investment. So that was a quick history lesson there. So, you know, every city is very proud of the brand that they bring. And, you know, Edinburgh's brand is pretty diversified. So obviously we're the county seat that has a lot going for it, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. You know, and a lot of cities brag, and they should be, by being an All-American City designation. So the city of Edinburgh is a three-time All-American City winner. And what we recently just did also, we unveiled a mural. Well, there's a county seat there, there's All-American City. And we just unveiled this actually on Veterans Day. That's a mural. As you come down on University Drive, just right when you get into town, you'll see this new mural. And at night, it's great. But we are designated as a hometown of heroes. And that's because we have two Medal of Honor recipients. So Mr. Freddie Gonzalez, Sergeant Freddie Gonzalez, and Private Pedro Cano. So I know this community is very, very proud of that. We have a very diverse cultural and arts, and that is budding and growing, and we have a lot of things planned for that. And then two of the other things, obviously being the gateway city, just like Raymondville, but we are a gateway city to the Rio Grande Valley and obviously Rio Grande City as well. That logistically plays a big part of that. So I'm going to jump in a little bit more to the gateway city first. Obviously, you know, coming in, many of our visitors to the Rio Grande Valley, if you're driving in, that's going to be one of your first vantage points. I think logistically, and I know we all in the Rio Grande Valley kind of pride ourselves in being strategically located, but we have a different take on being strategically located. If you look at just a general county map, we are smack dab in the heart of Hidalgo County. Obviously, to our south, we have a lot of activity with our ports of entry, but there's a lot of land to be developed to our north. So we know that that's going to be an investment for the future. We have a large ETJ. These are our ETJ maps, and we have 189 square miles of a projected ETJ. So there's a lot of room, not only to our north, but actually to our east as well for expansion. So that is something we're definitely going to capitalize on. And then if you keep up with activities of the RMA and the MPO, there's going to be some exciting projects that really logistically help bring Edinburgh as a focus. You know, we have a FAR interchange that's going to be built, but we have our West Loop. You know, that's going to come off the Madero Bridge and come around Western Hidalgo County. We have FM 490 that's going to be, you know, that two that you see there that is going to connect right to our airport. And then we also have our FM 1925, which is Monte Cristo Road. That is going to be our connector that's going to connect I-69C to I-69E, which will eventually connect to a second causeway and to our partners in Cameron County. So logistically, you can see just from that little map is that we'll have so many more access points coming in the future. So one thing also that we have really taken on, one thing I forgot to mention also, that picture that you see there is a new transit terminal that we just broke or just ribbon cut that Valley Metro. And we're really proud to say that we have 6 routes that come to there, and we just added 2 additional routes. So public transportation is also a big hub for us. So from that terminal, which is just not quite a block from City Hall, you can literally go to any point in the Rio Grande Valley from that terminal using public metro service. So that's something we're really proud of. You know, something that we have coined just recently, you know, much like all parts of the Rio Grande Valley, we're growing fast. We are growing fast, but something that I wanted to communicate to our public, to investors, to our elected officials. Not only are we growing fast, but we want to ensure that we're going to be growing smart. So kind of a new catchphrase for our operational outlay, so to speak, is growing fast, growing smart. You know, our population growth, we're top 50 in the nation. We're actually about number 11 or 12 in the state. So we're one of the fastest growing metro areas in those that are above 50,000 population. You know, if you just take some census numbers, in 1990, census for the city of Edinburgh was under 30,000. That's kind of hard to believe. And since then, every census, we have almost doubled that number. We just finished our census self-response campaign, and I'm really proud to say that the city of Edinburg had the highest self-response in the entire Rio Grande Valley. So we had 66.5%. And we are projecting, if all the numbers come to play the way we think they are, the city of Edinburg will crest over 100,000 in population. So we're officially a big city, over 100,000 population. And again, our growth has been pretty tremendous. I do want to talk about some city operations, just some updates before I kick it over to Brian. But you know, the city of Edinburg may not know, again, being 100,000 population, we have about 1,000 employees. So again, 1,000 employees of the city, that's pretty substantial. Speaking to this vein of growing fast, growing smart, we're actually also in the midst of doing certain things for that. So a lot of cities have a comprehensive plan that they update every few years. We are just on the eve of unveiling our new updated 5-year comprehensive plan. So this will be kind of the structure. This is a visionary plan, but this really does set the structure for the next 5 years of growth. One thing that we also do that not a lot of cities have implemented is what's called the Unified Development Code. That's actually a set of ordinances that depict specifically for development what restrictions, you know, what parameters we should be using. And we are going to, in the first couple quarters of 2021, we'll be updating our Unified Development Code. So, you know, our governing body has a very dedicated set of parameters. And as we update this, something that we're going to do, obviously stakeholder input is very important, but something that we'll be doing along with our developers is updating this Unified Development Code. So, you know, one thing I want to elaborate right before I kick it over to Brian is our structure of the EDC, because this has been fairly quiet, and obviously the last 6-9 months we have a lot going on in our world. But when I got here in March, something that I really wanted to do was enhance our Economic Development Corporation structure. So myself and our legal team, we really looked and benchmarked. We talked to folks in San Antonio and Austin, and we really wanted to model, you know, what larger cities were doing. So something that we did is we did a major overhaul to our EDC bylaws. So in the history of the membership with our bylaws of EDC, we always had 5 members. We actually increased that from 5 to 7 members. So what that allowed us to have a composition of dedicated seats. So we now have a dedicated seat for small business. We now have a dedicated seat for education in workforce. So like that, we wanted to make sure that the appointed officials of the EDC were very dedicated in having a good cross section. Another thing that we did, because you know what we came to found is that some EDCs tend to silo from city operations, and we wanted to be much more efficient. And like Sergio kind of alluded to at the beginning, we wanted to make sure that we did a dedicated, you know, one-door approach. So what we've done is from this alignment of an EDC and the city, we have now a newly developed City Department of Economic Development. So we are all, you know, employees of the city. However, the city department does the staffing function for the EDC. So there's much greater alignment. So if we're talking tax collection rates or the general fund on the city side or the EDC budget, there's going to be much more seamless alignment. So also, you know, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but Blanca Davila, our department head, our director for the Economic Development Department, she is going to be the investment and anybody that wants to do business, kind of our portal, our port of entry. And what Blanca can do now that we have better alignment with the city is through Brian and myself, we can connect internally all our other city departments. So public safety, public works, our utilities, our water department. That is for an internal team. So essentially, we're taking a different stab on, you know, instead of just trying to competitively incentivize businesses to come here, we're going to help you make a better business case and also really try to eliminate what people, you know, usually foresee as red tape. We're going to do that kind of internally as kind of a concierge approach. So this is newly, but this is something that we're going to do. And we think we think we're well in the way to happen. So the last thing I want to say, Brian, is that I know, all three of us have worked previously with councils of government, so we're very regional. We know the success of the region is the success of Edinburg, and vice versa. The success of Edinburg will translate to those cities all across the Rio Grande Valley. So we're truly committed to doing smart growth with all our partnering cities all around us. We're not here to undercut one another. We're not here to do that. We are here to leverage the assets that we have to make sure that the entire valley is prosperous. So I really want to focus on that and just kind of let everybody know that here in the city of Edinburg, obviously we're going to leverage our assets, but we want everybody to know how regionally minded we're always going to be here philosophically. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian for a few slides. So Brian Kelsey, again, is our Assistant City Manager of Economic Development. He's going to dive in a little bit more to our economic indicators. Right?
Thanks, Ron. Good morning, everybody. As we thought through how we wanted to go through some of this information, sort of structure the presentation here. Since this is a regional group, we thought that the best way to do this would maybe be to share with you all, how we are going to pitch this community in the context of a regional economy. I think a lot of people on the webinar today are local economic developers, or you work in a closely connected field, and it's a little bit of a mix of art and science, right? So, when you're working at the regional level, you can talk about the region as a whole. This is a regional economy. We share common assets. We have similar growth opportunities and challenges. But you also, working as somebody who represents a city or a community, you need to balance that out with what differentiates your local community from that region. What are those unique attributes and characteristics that are different than the other options people have in the region here. So, what we thought we would do was just sort of share with you our talking points and how we are going to pitch Edinburg in the context of a regional economy, and then drill down and show you a couple of videos of some of our local assets. So this first slide here is, I think there may be somebody here. Sergio, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we're working on muting everyone. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So the metro economy here, the county level economy is a $23 billion economy. I'm relatively new to the Valley, so a lot of this was this was a fun exercise to go through here because I've been studying regional economies for 20 years and helping people figure out how to communicate about them. So this was kind of a fun exercise to go through. Thought we'd share this with you. 8th largest metro economy in Texas, 5th largest when combined with the east side of the Valley. Pre-COVID, we were on a pretty good run of economic growth. Inflation adjusted, the economy here was growing at more than 2% annually. If you look at places like Austin, they're growing 3.5%. 2% real growth is extremely strong. Drivers for the region, as we are going to kind of focus on them, obviously here locally, healthcare stands out more than most. But again, we share some of those same key industries that the rest of the communities in the Valley here are strong in. Yeah, manufacturing. This was especially interesting to me, and I had not really seen this statistic anywhere before we put this together. If you look at all the regions, all the metro economies across the United States, and you look back to 2010, so roughly the last 10 years, this metro area has led all other regional economies with more than 200% real or inflation-adjusted growth in the manufacturing sector. That's absolutely remarkable, and I think a lot of people know about the locational advantages being along the border. Obviously everybody knows McAllen's strength in this area too, but it's when you kind of look at it from a macro perspective, it's very surprising to me. That's going to be a good talking point for us. And then obviously we still have some legacy strengths. We're a top 5 citrus market in the United States. That's always going to be part of this local and regional economic footprint here. Next slide. So healthcare. Let's drill down a little bit on healthcare. healthcare is the largest private industry for the local economy here. It's about a little more than $2 billion, $2.6 billion industry. If you look at some of the job creation statistics, employment here has increased by 20% since 2015. And again, I'm just gonna talk, through some of this information. You all are watching the video here. That 20% growth since 2015 in jobs, that's twice the national average. So you think about how fast healthcare is growing nationally, we're growing twice that rate here. Another interesting talking point when kind of looking across the national landscape, Edinburg, the metro area here trails only Rochester, Minnesota, which is, for those of you who are not familiar with that area of the country, that's home to the Mayo Clinic, one of the most well-respected healthcare centers in the world. We trail only that area nationally in terms of ambulatory healthcare jobs as a share of total employment. So we have one of the highest concentrations of healthcare employment of any regional economy in the United States, which is pretty remarkable. Locally, we got about 1,600 payroll business locations or business establishments led by both DHR and South Texas Health System with a combined 8,000 employees. And if you look over to the School of Medicine founded in 2013 at UTRGV, I don't know how many of you have kept up with the student enrollment over there, but it's pretty impressive. They're up to about 200 medical students, 100 faculty members, and 50 PhD scientists. So as we look to capitalize in the healthcare and biotech sector, I think some of the research and the practitioners over there are important assets for this community to leverage. Workforce is the second bucket we want to talk a little bit about here. Edinburg, it's when you talk to external people who aren't that familiar with the region here, you're going to hear a couple common talking points. You're going to hear one, yes, there's locational value in terms of where just how close we are to the border here. You can talk about transportation, logistics, and inevitably the conversation is going to get steered to cost. And yes, this is a lower cost region. That is an important attribute for us. But I think part of kind of the underappreciated part of the story here is our workforce availability. If you look across the valley here, Edinburg is one of the most well-educated communities in the valley. And I started to kind of unpack some of these statistics to try to understand sort of where we rank in the region and how we compare to the nation. 35%, so more than a third of our residents aged 25 or older have a post-secondary degree. So that's everything from a certificate all the way up to a PhD. 14,000, a little more than 14,000 primary working age people. So between the ages of 25 and 64. 14,000 residents with a bachelor's degree or higher here in Edinburg. 33% of Edinburg's younger workforce, so it's kind of that next generation workforce, 25 to 34 here, has a bachelor's degree or higher, and that leads all the other large cities in the valley. 23,000 students at UTRGV's local campus and growing. So, again, UTRGV is going to be an important part of our economic development strategy here as we go forward. Next slide. And so let's talk a little bit about housing. Ron mentioned some of the growth statistics, but again, I think there's part of the story here about housing that's important not to overlook as we kind of go through that growth story. Housing preferences are changing. The world has changed a lot in the last year. I think people's expectations about working and living, a lot of those are shifting in a very dynamic way right now. But housing preferences are changing, especially for young professionals. I think when we talk about home ownership and how people view having the kind of life they want to lead, single family, traditional, detached homes, home ownership, that's still a very important part of the story, obviously. But I think we need to remember that's not what everybody wants. Particularly when you look at younger, educated workers. There's a higher premium today on mobility, and not everybody wants to be tied down to that 30-year fixed mortgage. And so it's important, I think, from our perspective, that we offer a lot of different kinds of housing options for people, no matter their walk of life, no matter what they want for themselves. And so that's what we've been investing in here. We believe it's going to be an important part of attracting and retaining skilled workers as we move forward. A couple of statistics about the market here. We've permitted more new homes since 2011 than any other city in the valley, and it's not even really close. The majority, 56% of those new homes permitted since 2011 have been in duplexes, 3 or 4 unit buildings, or other types of multifamily. So we have a fairly good balance here. It's about half and half, multifamily and traditional single family. We believe that's going to be an attribute for us. So I'm going to stop there, and I don't know, I'll invite Ron and Blanca if you want to add anything to any of those sections, jump in now before we transition over to Blanca here.
So one of the only other points that I'd like to address is really regarding resilience. Obviously, our entire nation, is going through recovering from the pandemic. But the thing about the way I describe it mostly is that the city of Edinburg really does have a kind of a naturally diversified and resilient economy. We don't have a port of entry, we don't have a bridge, but we have a municipal landfill, which I'll get into in a bit. But that is, having that asset really is a very stable asset. For the most part, if we look at our sales tax, our drivers and our indicators of property tax and sales tax, for the most part, the shopping trend, especially around sales tax, people live here, people shop here. So we don't have a transient shopper base. Obviously, that could be perceived as a disadvantage, the fact that we don't attract a lot of external shoppers. And we do, but just not a large portion of them. But from the resilient side, these essential businesses, again, we serve our own community. So, we have recovered, fairly well from being resilient to sales tax. As a matter of fact, we just got, Brian, I don't know if you want to share the latest numbers.
Sure, yeah. So a lot of you probably got your September sales tax data from the comptroller this week. And year to date, we are up 4% from last year. And we had budgeted at right around 2%. So we're very pleased with how resilient our sales tax base has proven to be through this crisis.
Yeah, so again, it's just kind of that natural diversity in our sources of income that make us really resilient. And something that I'll get into at the very end here, obviously building capacity around our small businesses is extremely vital to us, but I'll leave that for the very end. So with that, why don't we transfer over to Blanca?
Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you, Brian and Ron. So as we move on into the next bucket of entertainment, but now living through a pandemic, this is an interesting topic to navigate. Go to the video here. We can showcase. But in discussions with our partners, with Mr. Ram Patel from HB Park and the arena, they shared some interesting statistics of things to do here in Edinburg, such as attending events or games. Some interesting statistics. Bird Ogden Arena has a total capacity of over 9,000 seats and includes 15 luxury seats, 2 member suites, 4 bunker suites, and 10 loge boxes. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the arena became a food drive and hurricane relief distribution center, partnering with the city of Edinburg, and became a blood drive and one of the largest, if not the largest, COVID-19 testing site in the region, in the state, and in the nation. HB Park also has a total capacity of over 9,000 seats and includes 30 luxury seats, 1 members lounge, and 8 patio. So there are different things to do here with the city as well. Festivals, the city of Edinburg, now with the pandemic, has postponed most of the events, but we're looking forward to hosting some in the next couple of months, hopefully. Another interesting factor, and let me go back here to this one, that Mr. Rampatel had shared is that our region spends 47% per concert ticket in comparison to other cities such as Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Houston. So what we find is that people like to spend money here because they want to do something with their families, something that's fun. And our region also supports a 57% higher total concert spend per event than the rest of the country. So that is a significant percent rate that we see there. And another interesting area that we have is the shops at Rio Grande Valley. We do have 27 businesses, including Academy, Burlington, TJ Maxx, Ross, among others. And they brought in a little over $2 million in sales tax to the city of Edinburg for fiscal year 2020. So those are some statistics there that we have for the arena and HB Park. So moving on to quality of life. Mr. Garza.
Sure. So tagging on quality of life, because entertainment is the fun stuff, but obviously, especially with the young population, giving people, additional reasons to live here and not move away from here. The city, our city council members, they are very dedicated towards investing in quality of life. We have a World Birding Center. We have obviously some festivals. We have a very, very, very active festival calendar. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, that's something that we've had to get creative and put on hold. But we're getting creative and we're doing it in different ways. There you're about to see our Jackson Street Trail. We're really proud to announce the City Council approved over $20 million in capital improvements for park expansions, additional hike and bike trails. We're adding 3 dog parks. We just last night at our City Council meeting, we got the notice to proceed. The City Council approved the first all-inclusive water park. So we're actually going to be designing a water park feature that's going to be all-inclusive for children and people that can enjoy for all abilities. So we're really proud of that. We're one of the few cities, not only do we have 1 municipal golf course, we actually have 2. Los Lagos is an 8 consecutive time winner of the Reader's Choice Best Golf Course in the Rio Grande Valley. Very proud of that. We're actually making new enhancements to that. The first weekend in December, we're going to do a re-grand opening because we are relaunching something called Putter's Grill. It's kind of a bar and grill that we're taking over ownership there. So really just a lot of enhancements towards quality of life, something we're really proud of. And, obviously as a resident here, not only am I the city manager, but I live here, my family lives here. I'm proud to be living in a city that our city council really dedicates resources to quality of life. So something we're really excited about. So the last slide that we'll show is really, I just want to kind of focus on strategic assets. We talked about the county seat. We should all know that, the county made significant investments in their new courthouse. That's really exciting for us. We're partnering very well. We have a really nice feature called the McIntyre Promenade walkway that goes right past City Hall. We're exploring ways to expand that into the new courthouse square. So something we're really, really excited about. A lot of government agencies, we are the hub of the government agencies. Not only as a county seat, we have so many of our county employees, but Border Patrol and different state and federal agencies actually house the headquarters here. UTRGV, we know that UTRGV is a distributed regional university, but there's no doubting the fact that about 60 to 70% of UTRGV assets are here in the city of Edinburg. So we're really proud of that. Something that we continue to partner with. We are starting our own workforce coalition with them, because we know that the cities have to be on the forefront of workforce development. I spoke about our landfill, and it's really, it's interesting. Landfills are not the most appealing asset. Not a lot of people speak about landfills in a way that's really appealing, but it is a really great resource for us. We have 2 active permits, and we are the largest in South Texas in terms of the tonnage. So over 500,000 tons of landfill, and we have right now capacity of about 60 years of landfill capacity, but we're just investing in some new cells so that we can do enhancements to future development. So something really, really exciting there. And another asset that's kind of lost and sometimes forgotten is our South Texas International Airport. It's not, a traditional commercial airport, but we do have 5,000 feet of runway. And the great thing about projecting for future growth, we already do have the land availability that we own for doubling the size of our runway, doubling the width. So one day we do envision the South Texas International Airport being able to have large cargo, maybe not commercial, but maybe large cargo. For those that know aviation, the Gulfstream 5 is one of the largest planes that you can actually currently land there, which is a nice size plane. We frequently have some Gulfstream 5s come into that area, usually about 14, 15 passengers and the crew. So it is a fairly large size. So it's a busy airport. It's an international airport. It has U.S. Customs access and U.S. Customs clearance. And we're a hub there also. The Border Patrol, DPS, has assets there, strategic assets they use for deployment. So something that we don't speak of enough, but that airport, and especially as you saw on one of the early maps, we're going to have a lot of more logistical highways tie into right where that northern boundary of our airport comes into play. So, and then one asset that, again, I spoke of the recovery from the pandemic, but our small business environment, really, we know that all across the nation, and obviously all across the Rio Grande Valley, our entrepreneurial spirit is so high. And, the city of Edinburg has approximately 3,000 businesses, but about 10 to 15% of those businesses have not fully reopened and not fully recovered from the pandemic. We launched a program that we're very, very proud of. And I know I'm very proud of a lot of communities that did business grants programs, but we did take a different take on it. Ours was called the Spark program. And these are just images of what I've talked about. But the Spark program was something that it was an acronym for stimulus program aimed at recovery from COVID. It was a two-tiered approach. We didn't want to just extend a grant program that some of these businesses used external resources, because we knew just our general non-business community was also hurting. So we did a two-tiered approach. The first tier was a direct business grant. So the businesses that were most impacted received a $2,000 direct payment. But then we also took literally $1 million and we created another set of criteria and distributed that $1 million to nearly 10,000 residents that had been impacted by COVID. And they got a $100 gift card. But the key to this program was that $100 gift card, it could only be spent at the businesses that were part of the Spark network. So essentially, we created this true spark of an economy right here. So the total program was about $2 million, and the entire amount of that $2 million was injected directly into this economy. So something we're really, really proud of. So we do have a really short video with some audio. I'll skip over this one. We do have a short video that we'd like to kind of portray on the Spark video. So this is about a 2-minute video.
In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the city of Edinburg developed a stimulus program aimed at recovery from COVID to provide local businesses and residents financial stimulus by injecting $2.5 million directly into the Edinburg economy.
The Spark program was a blessing, right? It was awesome that the city of Edinburg was able to help us out that way. Obviously, with a $2,000 grant, that helps out with the utilities, the rent, especially because our part of our business was closed, so we didn't have that income coming in.
It was a big blessing from the city to the residents and to the small businesses.
The program consisted of 2 components. The business grant program provided $2,000 grants to over 500 local qualified businesses, and the Community to Business Grant program provided $100 gift cards to eligible residents of the city of Edinburg. Over 9,000 cards were distributed through the program.
Our clients that were struggling had an extra $100 to come and have some of the stuff that you usually get, but also helped us out to get new people to come, and we were on that list to help us to come and check us out.
El incremento que tuvimos fue aproximadamente 30% en nuestras ventas y llegamos a tener una venta de arriba de $18,000 en el mes. Fue lo que se manejó. Fue gracias al programa España. Somos un negocio nuevo, tenemos apenas 2 meses operando y abrir una pandemia es bastante complicado. Y la gente ha respondido bien y gracias al programa Spark respondió también bastante, como le digo, mucha gente los conoció.
The gift card brought in a lot of other customers that had never, even come by yet, and some of them never knew that we were even here. There was a lot of calls coming in asking where we were located.
It was like an extra little push, right? If we were going like on 60 miles per hour, this kind of pushes it to a little 70, right? So it was definitely a blessing and a little extra push to help us out.
There was a total of $800,000 in total sales through the Spark program.
When customers were coming in, they were purchasing laundry detergent, Clorox, toilet paper. The customers would also mention it, how it was a big blessing, being able to use those $100. They stretched them as far as they could. Thank you for thinking about us small businesses.
We'll post that if your bandwidth was a little bit slow there for the video. We'll post that so you can check it out again later. But the last thing I want to mention here is for those of you who joined the webinar today who were interested in specific properties. We do have an industrial park here to the north that's about 400 acres with about 160 owned by our Economic Development Corporation. We are in the process of finalizing an RFP to completely overhaul our website and marketing materials, and that will include a property database. So for those of you who are interested in specific properties, stay tuned. That RFP should be out here in a couple of weeks. And so we're hoping, by the end of the year, January, we'll start to have some of that infrastructure back up. So you can access property database here.
So we'll be sharing this PowerPoint. We'll have all our contact info on there. Again, Brian just mentioned our website. We're about to overhaul the entire website there. We're really proud also, we did a very unique arrangement with our Chamber of Commerce. Through a funding agreement through the Chamber of Commerce, they're actually doing a kind of a foundation level membership to the Chamber for every business in the city. And like that, we're going to make sure the biggest thing that we learned as going through COVID together with our small businesses is that cities and small businesses really need to have active ongoing communication. That's very, very important to us. And we've learned a lot. We're going to continue to make sure that we do capacity building for our small businesses. Obviously, a lot of our small business members, they're very passionate, but really could use additional resources, capacity building. So that's something we're definitely going to focus on in the near future. We already have programs aligned in partnership with UTRGV and others to really expand their capacity. So I know we covered a lot, but that kind of concludes the slides. But Sergio, we are more than open to take some questions or dive in deeper to anything we may have covered.
Ron, thank you for your presentation and congratulations to all that you and your team are doing. Brian and Blanca, thank you. And also for sharing, new things that we had not heard of. So for the audience, the reason that the city of Edinburg and the EDC decided to utilize this format is to provide you an opportunity to ask questions. So we still have several minutes to be able to pose some of those questions. Everyone is muted, so you can either unmute yourself or chime in via the chat. And as we allow you that opportunity, I want to say thank you for sharing that y'all are investing $20 million in your park expansion, also the expansion at the airport. One of the things that we pride ourselves as a community, as a region, is driving our local economy. So as you invest in the community, we ask that you continue to engage with local vendors, suppliers of all sorts. So we ask you to keep that in mind. I know that that's part of your DNA already. So we thank you for that. We thank you for ensuring that the economy is generated within our own communities. Also, it's great to hear that you're going to be working on a unified development code that provides individuals an opportunity to dive into launching a business and a one-stop shop, and also with that. So I'm going to now open it up for those that may want to. I do have something here. I have one question, Ron. It says, can you share what you're doing about sustainability, energy efficiency, air and water quality?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And I apologize, Ron. We may get a couple more questions as well, so I'll flag you in case more come in so we can give them all fair time. Please proceed.
And I can see the chat here, so if anybody has a question, I think the easiest thing is they just type it into the chat. I'll just respond directly from there. any one of us can. So, but going back to the sustainability question, I really do appreciate that question because I don't think that's asked enough. Obviously, I touched on the landfill, but something that we're looking, we have a pretty robust recycling program, but quite honestly, it's an underutilized program with our residents. So that is something we're actually working on a campaign right now to extend more educational opportunities to the residents in that resource, because just from a recycling standpoint, not a lot of, and we do have a curbside program, but not a lot of people know that. So water quality too, that's part of our Growing Fast, Growing Smart program. We are right now in development to add our second water treatment facility. We're doing feasibility of land and all that, but water quality obviously is very important. So, again, back to the landfill, we are, we're expanding our capacity, but we want to make sure that we're going to do that, in a strategic way that's efficient and sustainable. So we're looking at things like tire shredders, different ways to dispose of brush, and different ways that we can maximize the capacity for generations to come. So, but one thing we are doing, I've actually assigned a staff member to specifically start consolidating information around energy efficiency and sustainability. So that's something that we need to talk about much more. So I appreciate that. So. I see a question there. Can you talk briefly about the number of capital projects coming up, construction value, and yes. So one thing that I'm very proud of, that we just unveiled what we're calling our capital projects dashboard. In the spirit of being truly transparent with our public, what we've done, and this is just launched, but anybody now can go to our cityofedinburgh.com website. And we're actually going to make the button a little more visible, but if you kind of just wait on the home page, you'll see a scrolling thing that says capital projects. You can click on that, and each one of those capital projects, we have listed the budget, we've listed the timeline, we've listed the phase, we've listed pictures. So, we are going to fundamentally, so our presentations, we reframe those presentations. So instead of doing it specifically for administration or doing it specifically for our council members, we're reframing everything so we can do it for the public. And we took a different step on that. So all our upcoming capital projects, they're actually on the dashboard. So anybody that has interest in them can specifically go and look at those projects. So obviously, they're drainage projects, they're water quality projects, they're just other capital improvement projects. But we do have a Series 2020 certificates of obligation. Again, most of that was parks and general improvements, but we are doing road constructions, some additional lighting, some additional paving. But again, you can look at the dashboard, and if anybody, and please share that resource. But for those that have interest to really deep dive into those projects, feel free to use that dashboard. So another question, what tips can you give engineers, contractors, architects to do business here in the city? So really engagement. We just did our open procurement process for our pool of architects and engineers. And I know that was just done and selected just about a month ago or so. But I think one of the most important process, and again, you helped highlight it for us, is our Unified Development Code. We're going to be procuring out a consultant to help us write that. But over the year 2021, that Unified Development Code is really going to be the set of parameters. And we need engagement from every investor, architect, developer, home builder. That's really going to help shape this Unified Development Code. And we're going to do it in that vein of grow fast and grow smart. I'll be the first to admit, because we currently operate under a Unified Development Code. But in my opinion, it was kind of done externally from a consultant and given to us. We're fully committed to helping write that with our consultant. Our consultant really is just helping navigate the process with us. But in other words, we're writing it for the needs of the city of Edinburgh. Somebody won't be writing it on your behalf. So that is philosophically something very much different. So I do know that you'll be hearing more opportunities to engage. One thing that we struggle with, and I know all cities struggle with, getting the word out about what they're doing. We use social media a lot, and we'll continue to use that. We do have a Spectrum Channel 1300 for folks that live in the city. But something that we do, and something that I committed to doing in March, every day at 3 p.m., we do a daily update. Every single day, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. It's usually about a 10-minute, 15-minute update, and we archive those on our social media. So I really do implore those to continue to follow our social media. We try to broadcast everything. But really, again, when you see this presentation and when Sergio shares this, you'll have each one of our contact information. And really, we're all a resource for you, but Blanca's really going to be that portal. And, behind the scenes, she'll be triaging where that should go and things like that. So again, back to your kind of open comment, Sergio, we're really committed to providing a model of customer service. So, and again, from an incentive standpoint, our EDC board and our council right now, we're really going to make a fundamental shift. Incentives are going to be done for those businesses and industries that commit to high wage jobs. We want sustainable growth, and things like retail, restaurants, that should be a growth around industry development. So, but to counterbalance that, we have to make it very clear that doing business here is a good thing. We talk about land availability. Brian mentioned that the website, we're going to have a good portal to make sure that real estate investors can have a better sense on the type of land availability we have. So, can you take that next? Sure, go ahead.
Another question is the EDC engaged in identifying the possibilities under the USMCA's, the new North America Trade Agreement. We are in the process of trying to think through a strategy, especially for the North Industrial Park, where we have a good bit of land there, and it's very strategically located next to both the interstate and our airports. And so we're thinking through what the possibilities are there, and looking at transportation, distribution, and logistics, and other possibilities there. So that's sort of our focus in terms of the trade agreement analysis right now. The next one, will the new courthouse spur downtown mixed-use development? Ron, you want to?
Sure, I will. So the way the city of Edinburg defines its downtown area, it's technically from I-69 on University, which is 107, heading west, the courthouse square, and just a little past City Hall, heading west. So we have a linear downtown area, which is also a corridor of a lot of our small businesses. It's also an area that we've identified that needs some improvement in terms of beautification. That's why I shared that mural. So as soon as you come around that corner coming into the city, that is something that you'll see, and we're going to be committed to doing some more beautifying of that area. But the courthouse is an amazing opportunity. We continue to engage with the judge and with our Precinct 4 County Commissioner, Eli Torres. She's a great partner of ours, and something that I'm really excited is the fact that they are revisiting the way they're going to do parking. Right now, they're in a partnership with Valley Metro and doing a kind of a shuttle type service, rapid response type bus service. So, and that's working very effectively. So something that they're committing to is really going back to some of the original vision and bringing more green space to that courthouse square, which I think is going to be very, very exciting. So we're starting to engage with all the businesses around that courthouse square and along University Drive. And we do envision that to be something of a really growth conduit the next few years. The X factor is that there's going to be some growing pains to that, because if you don't know this, in that corridor that I just explained, University from I-69 and around the courthouse square, TxDOT is going to do a major reconstruction project. So they're literally taking that road down to the drainage, improving the drainage capacity, but that is slated to begin late next year, and that's going to be about 3 to 4 years of some construction growing pains. But if we can just get through that, which we will, that's really going to renovate that entire area. So I do know, I can confidently say that 5 years from now, that courthouse square with the green space, we're going to expand our McIntyre walkway, and then what we're going to do with beautification on University, it really is going to be a gem with the Rio Grande Valley.
I think we've got a couple more minutes here. There's one more here that says, to encourage public-private partnerships, P3s, what advice can you give the industry for the best approach with the city and the Economic Development Corporation for future development? Stay tuned on that. I think this month, I hope we'll be introducing a new economic development incentive policy to our EDC board. It will very clearly spell out, what our goals are for our incentive programs and what kinds of programs will be available. I can tell you now, a lot of it's going to be structured around higher wage jobs. We are a type A economic development corporation here, so we will be focused on primary employers in terms of trying to bring new money into the community. And so I think we're going to have a pretty forward-looking, fairly innovative policy compared to what we've seen from other EDCs. So stay tuned for that in the next couple of weeks for details.
One other thing I'd like to highlight is, Brian touched on the growth and how important our medical community is. Obviously, with 2 large, hospital facilities here, they're among the largest employers in the Rio Grande Valley. Alberta Road, which is a road that connects, there specifically into DHR, that is slated also to be expanded. So we're going to start that construction project just slated to begin next year in 21. So having an expanded Alberta Road all the way from basically McCall all the way to I-69 is going to be vital to continuing the growth along there, the growth along Trenton. Again, we really looked at our bus routes and we did a feasibility there. We're expanding bus routes. Our hike and bike trails, something that we're really dedicated to, is connectivity of those. So, I look at it in terms of flow, and we're really kind of strategically looking at how our city can have better flow through the city. If you're on a bike, if you're on a bus, if you're on foot, or if you're in a vehicle. So something really exciting. So, there's another question. Have you established a Main Street program for the downtown area? So we have a designated downtown district that will be enhanced with part of our unified development code that is slated for this next year. We're going to better identify that. One project that is coming about and something that I'm working with our elected body, something that our elected officials are much committed to, is just adjacent to City Hall. We have an old Sam Houston High School that will one day be our cultural arts center. So we're in the early planning stages of that entire block. It's a 2-block area between 8th and 10th Street, just adjacent to the courthouse square. Again, for those that haven't visited our McIntyre Promenade, you can walk from City Hall, from downtown, on a 60-foot, paved walkway. It is one of the most beautiful walks you can take. We just opened our transit building, which is a few blocks west, and we just partnered with UTRGV to connect that promenade walkway to UTRGV, so we have more seamless connectivity. So again, in that spirit of flow, we really do want people to enjoy our downtown area, however you choose to do that, by bus, by car, by bike, or by foot. So, and people, through the input and surveys we've done through our comprehensive plan, our residents and visitors want more availability of multimodal transportation. So something we're really committed to doing.
Well, thank you so much, Ron, to you and your team, and excellent job. I know that we're nearing the end of our presentation, and your call if you want to field some of these last comments here or questions. But I do want to emphasize that yesterday we did have a coordinated effort along with all of the EDC offices along the Rio Grande Valley. And Brian was there. Thank you for joining us, Brian. And one thing that came out of it is to continue to drive the collaboration and also the regional approach. So we want to thank you for starting off your presentation, emphasizing that component. Again, also, we, as an organization, we are going to be hosting these throughout the incoming year. Join us on December the 10th. We're going to be highlighting the city of McAllen. I know Rebecca's here with us, so December the 10th, that'll follow through by an invitation to everyone. And then Harlingen in January, followed by others. Do you want to take on this question here?
Sure. Yeah, our school district again, and I didn't verbally say it, but it was in some of the photos. It's an extremely vital asset for us. Their administration building is just a walk away, and I walk over there at least twice a month to visit with them. So having that active partnership, again, it's in our blood here, but something very, very important. I'm really excited to say that they're going to be part of a workforce coalition that we're designing. So the workforce is going to be there. We're about to launch a new exciting initiative called Active Edinburg. And that Active Edinburg, the school district will be partnering with us a lot on that. So really excited. And we'll be adding 2 more joint partnership park projects with the school district. So, as we all say, they're all those children's parents, they're residents of our city. So to ensure that we're in alignment, we are talking, continually. So thank you for who asked that question on the ECISD, because it is a very large school district that we need them to succeed, and we'll do anything. As a matter of fact, we have a photo op here just in a few hours, because we are partnering with doing a Thanksgiving food drive, and the school district actually did the selection for all the families which were giving food for the holidays. So it's a very, very vital partnership.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron, and your team as well. And thank you all that participated. COVID has stopped us from gathering in person, but it's not going to stop our growth. And also now not stopping us from sharing the great news of our investment. Again, it's for better quality of life, higher paying wages. So I'm glad that you guys are focusing on that component. I do want to say again, thank you to our sponsors, Atlas Electrical and Atlas Electrical Air Conditioning and Refrigeration. I also have EB Merit Construction, Noble Texas Builders, Gabe Garza with Credit Management Concepts, and Marie Garcia with Sames Engineering. Again, thank you for that, and a reminder of the RGB First Committee, Working Committee under the partnership, which encourages investment within our communities. Again, thank you guys for everything. Marie, I know you're on. I know Gabe, you're on. Thank you for your leadership. Any last comments before we close?
Okay, I guess I'll take it. I just want to thank you, Sergio, again for putting this together and taking the lead on this commercial virtual tour. Yes, we're super excited that when we'll be able to go in person. But for those of you that are on the call that are from another city, if you want to feature your city, we ask you to reach out to the partnership, because they are ready to showcase your city on this beautiful platform. This is definitely the place to connect and collaborate. So we just want to thank you, and we're super excited to meet up with the city of McAllen on December the 10th. So until then, you all stay safe, and thank you again for joining us. And thank you, Sergio, for everything you do for our region. We appreciate your leadership.
Thank you, Monica, from our team. Thank you, everyone. Gabriel, thank you.
Thank you.
We will follow up with this presentation. You'll get it as well. Thank you all for if you did not RSVP with us, send your information to Monica and we'll disseminate the information. Thank you, guys. Be safe. Take care, Ron. Gracias.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.